Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dental Handoff. I'm Dr. Kelly Tanner, and today I have with me Michael Morgan. Michael, you're known as like the Picasso in dentistry. I don't even know if you know that, that people say that about you. Do you know that people say that?
Yeah, I do, and then sometimes they say that, and I turn and I look behind me because I think they're talking to somebody else. Yeah.
Well, Dr. Morgan is obviously very humble. He is at the top of his craft. And Michael, you speak all over and have been speaking for a long time. And I want people to hear your story. So I always start with the question, why dentistry? Did it choose you? Did you choose it?
Why dentistry? I have a family full of people in healthcare. So, my grandfather was a surgeon, had a family member in dentistry, a family member in optometry. So healthcare was kind of always lurking around somewhere in the family. And when I was young, yeah, when I was in high school, I started narrowed it down to two things. It was either I was gonna be a pilot for United Airlines or I was gonna be a dentist. So, um, in high school, I took flying lessons, got my private pilot's license, and realized my body did not like flying at all.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, didn't like flying. Um, my one uncle was a pilot in the Air Force, and he told me, "Hey, Michael, if by your like 12th or 13th flight, your body still is unhappy, it's always going to be unhappy." So I
Oh.
realized United's not really cool with you being a pilot and flying and getting nauseous and sick. They don't like that too much. So I started looking down the healthcare road, and my uncle was a dentist, and it wasn't the dentistry that interested me. It was I'd always been fascinated with working on little tiny things like models and stuff like that. But I noticed that, like, my family doctor, Dr. Miller, I talked to him, and he hadn't taken a vacation in like 13, 14 years. He said, every time my wife and I are going, somebody has a baby or somebody has a heart attack or somebody has a, and it seemed like my grandfather, the same thing. Every time I want to take a vacation, something happened. But I noticed my uncle, the dentist, he took vacations all the time and nobody ever bothered. It's like, that looks okay. Like, even in my teens, I realized I want to have some kind of personal life. I didn't want
Yeah.
people I didn't only be what my profession was. So that started me down like that road to dentistry. It was more I saw the personal freedom of the profession. So, yeah.
Yeah. So you got to work with like little small,
Yeah,
tiny things,
little tiny things. Yeah.
all the things, and you got to be in healthcare and you got to take vacations and people.
Or just have personal time, enjoy your hobbies, things like that. So yeah, it's all turned out to be what I thought it would be. It's been a long time. It's been last month it was 40 years. Kind of hard to believe. 40
Wow.
years. Yeah.
Now, did
And
you
better.
with how much I say you specialize, I know that I mean, you're just your work has just been talked about in so many different ways by so many other people and referenced. Did you go to some type of, residency program after dental school? Did you go into AGD residency or
No, I my first practice was out in a very rural, very industrial area, very poor area. And so I did a lot of amalgams, a lot of extractions, a lot of dentures. And to be honest, I hated it. I like hated it. And I was really thinking about getting out of dentistry because when you get up in the morning, you dread going to work. It's not a good way to start the day.
Right.
Um, so I don't remember where, I read somewhere about this program at Baylor Ron Jackson was giving, and you could do anterior teeth for 2.5 days or posterior teeth. I'm like, well, my patients never want their front teeth fixed. They just want them pulled out. So I think I'll go check out what's going on in the back. And we did direct composites and indirect composites lab fabricated. And I just thought it was the greatest thing ever, ever. And at the same time, I sold that practice and I moved to a more suburban area.
Mhm.
And I realized that we could actually work with materials that look like teeth. Amalgam doesn't look like anything except big.
Right.
So that was my introduction to composites, was the Baylor aesthetic continuum. And I started going there on the weekends, studying there. I went to LVI for a couple years and I became an instructor there. I went to PACLI for a while, became an instructor there. And then my big kind of like the turning moment was I read Didier Dietschy's book, and I met his co-author at a dental event, and I was talking to him like, "Hey, does DA ever come to the US?" He's like, "Not really, but here's his email." So I emailed him. I said, "Hey, your work is just it's spectacular if you've ever seen his work. It's just it looks like the guy clones teeth. It's quite amazing."
Wow.
And so I emailed him and I said, "Hey, if you're ever in the US," he goes, "Yeah, I don't come there anymore. People don't really ask me." I'm like, "Well, then they're pretty freaking stupid because we can learn so much from you." But that's kind of, American CE is more about speed and all sorts of things like that instead about taking your time and doing it right. So I said, "Well, let me know next time you're going to be in the country and I'll make sure I'm there." He's like, "Hey, if you ever want to come over here." I was like, "Holy crap." So he teaches at the University of Geneva school. It's the School of Medicine in Switzerland, has it, the dental schools in there. And so I went over there for a while, and it was with without a doubt the greatest CEO moment of my whole life. It's crazy. Like the stuff that he can do, it's crazy. So I ended up learning from him like what a tooth really looks like and how you form it and whether it's posterior, anterior, and all these things. And that was my big composite moment. And I learned from other people. I've learned from Newton Fall, who everybody knows if they know anything about composite, Lorenzo Benini, if anybody knows composite, people like that. So I've been very blessed in that regard. And composites been always been the thing I really love working with. It's, we do plenty of porcelain and other things here, but composites like my thing. And I think that's where I picked up with love some of my nicknames I got from some of my colleagues. So, because yeah, I loved artistry. You get to be, especially when you're doing anteriors, you get to be the doctor and kind of the ceramist lab person at the same time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So you have to wear both hats at the same time. So that's been, let's see, Switzerland was 1999, so 26 years ago, long time. But
Has it been that long?
yeah, I know it's kind of scary, scary. Um, but yeah, that's kind of how things evolved for me over time. Like I said, I've been very lucky to be in the presence of some of the people I mentioned, and my goal was always to be like 5% as good as they are, because
Mm.
those guys are just amazing. They're truly amazing. And it's interesting with the United States, kind of our CE system. If you go to a meeting and I talk about these guys, which I do in my lectures, and you get these puzzled looks on some of the docs' faces, I always wonder, like, where you guys been living that you haven't heard of like three of the biggest people in our profession, but the biggest people in composite, right? So a lot of docs, the other thing I found out is a lot of docs don't like composite. So there are some of my colleagues in the area that send me cases to do because they just don't want to deal with it. And then the
And
patient goes back and gets their, regular dentistry done. They don't takes a lot of, like Ron Jackson told me, it takes more time, more skill, and more patience to conserve tooth structure than to destroy it. So it's easy to take a big double black diamond burr and just cut the crap out of a tooth, but it takes a lot of time just to add.
when you come back from those courses, I'm curious, you're learning so much, and they're talking about so many things. How did you, or even do you now with going to CE, figure out what you're gonna start with? Because there's so much, like, you say, "I wanna be like this," or be able not to be like the person, but to be able to mimic, and where do you start? Obviously, materials, technique, because otherwise your assistant would be going, "What the what what is this guy doing? He's lost it." They probably expect that when you come back.
Yeah, it's easier for me, I think, and my staff because I only do a few things here.
Mhm.
And I was talking with my amazing assistant Jennifer the other day, and she said, "Yeah, Dr. Morgan, we only have a few products here. We only have certain things because you only do certain things." And I don't have like at one time 20 years ago, I had a partner. I had a big group practice, and he used to in the storage locker. He used to keep all these different composite kits. So on a Tuesday, let's say he needs to do a composite. The assistants didn't know. Well, like it's Tuesday, is he using A, B, C, D, or E? With me, I'm always using the same composite. I'm always using the same 2 adhesives. I'm always so we simplified everything, which is part of, where I got the title for my most popular lecture is just we simplify everything. And it makes the doctor's life easier, but it also makes the staff's life a lot easier. And they kind
Yeah.
of like that. They like that.
Yeah, because I can't even imagine well, I mean, I've been on the hygiene end of it, where a doctor comes back from a conference and it's like, "We're gonna do this protocol," and it's like, "Okay, you realize there's, like, 5 of us, right? And we have our own belief systems about what it is you're saying. We
Right.
have a lot of questions and how we're gonna find time to do that." But then once you have the materials and you so it sounds like that you simplified the materials, you've simplified what it is that you're offering
Right.
in terms of services. It's like not like you go to McDonald's and you can get a pizza, you go to you got to go to Dr. Morgan's office, this is what you do.
Right.
And so with that philosophy of care and then your team, there I would imagine also too it affects your front office because they only have so many billable codes as well.
Correct. Yeah. We there's not a like I said, we're not like Denny's. We don't have a million different things we do. We just don't. We have a very limited menu. It's just it is what it is. And sometimes people ask for things I don't do. So my philosophy is if I'm excellent at it, I'll do it. If I'm just good at it, I won't. So I have like one specialist in each specialty that I trust. I don't have like the drawer full of referral slips that a lot of our colleagues have. One oral surgeon, a couple of endodontists that are partners, things like that. So like for example, with endo, I've done, I don't know, maybe a thousand root canals in my career. But 20 years ago, I met these two guys that are here close to me. And the things they could do just kind of blew my mind. So I realized, okay, I shouldn't be doing this anymore. I
Mhm.
should be sending people to them. I send family, I send friends, I send patients. And the things I'm really good at, yeah, I'll keep doing those. And I'm always trying to be, as I think most of us are, trying to be better today than I was yesterday.
Mhm.
So that's where, CE comes in. And I just try to, when I come back on Monday, I try to hit the ground running. Some of the latest things like, digital and exocad, I'm still working on that. So I did take my assistant with me out to exocad training and 3D training and things like that. But still right now, most of that like falls on my responsibility, but it's a work in progress.
Yeah. So for advice to a dentist who wants to get better in these certain areas to say, "Okay, here's probably" there's a variety of ways that you can enter into what it is you're doing, what you're interested in, but would you give any advice to folks who are interested in being really good at posterior anterior composites? Like, where would you say to start?
Um, well, one of the things, I mean, COVID changed a lot of things, but one is the world of live CE kind of diminished, and then the world of online CE greatly expanded. So you have people like DDA, he teaches online classes and he still teaches live. If you want to see him live, you're going to have to go to Europe. And, it's interesting. I think some of our younger colleagues, they just aren't as excited about traveling, especially across major oceans,
Mm,
go to CE, right? So you could do that. You could, join one of his courses, like webinars and training and things like that. So those are all available. People don't have to get on a plane and fly to Switzerland like I did. They don't have to fly to Italy. They don't have to fly to South America. They can do all this online. So that I would look at, if you're in a room full of doctors and you feel like you're the best in the room at something, you should probably go to another room because you need to be with some people that are better, more motivated, more driven. And so I've always tried to be in a room where people are much better than I am because that's how you learn. I mean, as a teacher, we all learn when we teach, but I
yeah,
think we learn more when we listen, which is why God gave us 2 ears so we can listen more. And you need to put yourself in the vicinity, proximity is power. You need to put yourself in vicinity to people who are like the best. And that's how I ended up, spending time with Didi. I looked at him like he's the best in the world. So that's the best place to be.
gotcha. So surround yourself with those who are like what you're trying to emulate is what I hear
Sure.
you saying. And then also too, are you because I know that mentoring is such a big deal, and that is a way to be mentored by showing up to someone's course. Have you throughout your career, have you been a part of, like, groups or communities that you're saying, "I had this case today," that you're walking through cases that they could say, "Oh, probably that instead of that."
Yeah, I do. I belong to some of the, especially the big online, Facebook groups where we try
Okay.
to share knowledge. And that gets I used to share more in those groups. And I have some very close friends, some other docs that I think their work's outstanding, and we would like tag each other so we could be in this discussion about this
Cool.
case and things like that. But it's interesting that you post a case and anything I post could always be better. There's something I could do better. I always look at that's why we take a lot of photography here. You look at, okay, this case turned out well, the patient's happy, but what could I have done better? Not what did I screw up, but what could I have done better?
Yeah.
When we post these cases online, it's interesting the amount of kind of keyboard warrior bullshit you get where people just start like picking the case apart. And I'm like, hey, I didn't put this up here to pat myself on the back. I put it up here to say, "Hey, guys, how can we make this better? So let's do constructive criticism, not just say, wow, this case sucks. Why'd you put this up here?" So I think that deters a lot of people from posting more because we do it to help other people. We don't do it to like brag. And so when people get negative about it, it makes the experience not as worthwhile,
Yeah, because you're
my opinion.
yeah, and there seems to be quite a bit of that, and it's hard. I don't know, it's like, why would you put your energy there if that's what you're gonna get back when really the intent was something completely different,
Yeah,
and
there was a young guy a couple weeks ago posted a 3D case, his first case. I'm like, "That's awesome, way to go!" And he's like, "How can I make this better?" I said, a couple little things," but then there was just a whole rip of people ripping him, and I thought, What's the upside to that? There's no upside. Like life in general, there's rarely an upside to being negative, rarely. So it's profession. Let's like help each other. Isn't that like that's my general idea? Yeah, I mean, why do you stand up on a stage? Why do I stand up on stage? Because 'Cause we're trying to help other people,
yeah, that's
right?
exactly right.
So, I don't know. I don't understand sometimes.
So I
It's
think there's a good message in that is to surround make sure that so, like, in Facebook groups, what I always because I have my own, it's career and development for hygienist, career and professional development, and the rules are that you're uplifting. There's none of that, like, we're there, and if not, that's a community rule, and, I moderate and I'm watching all that, but surround yourself with positive people, not that they're gonna tell you what you wanna hear, that's not what I mean,
no.
like-minded, meaning that you're there to grow each other and improve each other, but not be criticizing you, in a way that's not helpful.
Well, plus, I don't know about you, I got the most criticism of my life in dental school. I mean, that was just a whole
Yeah,
negative
I'm good for the
experience.
rest of my life.
Yeah, hygiene school, and it was so negative, and when I got out of there, I told myself, "I will never treat another human being like that because there's just no upside," right? Yeah. So even
Shuts down learning, it shuts down everything.
yeah.
Why would you
So
even be a part of that? Why would you wanna give money if as an alumni of that school to that type of environment?
so even, like, when I do hands-on courses and, you'll have sometimes there's contests, like, who can do the best this or that, which is great, but when each doctor brings their case up for me to look at, there's always something good about the case. No matter how different it might look, there's always something good about it. So you need to learn to pick out the good, don't pick out the bad.
Mm.
That's that's how I look at it. And you're right. Then they're just going to stop listening. If you start getting negative on them, then they're just like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to share anymore. So,
Yeah, and if someone doesn't ask you for your opinion, don't give it.
oh,
Right? I mean, I always ask permission when people say they tell me something, I say, "Are you okay if I give you advice on something?" Like, I'm like a vampire before I walk through the door, I'm asking for
yeah,
permission. I'm like, "Are you cool with this?" And they're like, yeah, of course, that's why I'm here. Hey, that's why I've signed up for your coaching one-on-one, Kelly." I'm like,
yeah,
"Okay, I still just asked, but could you see it like this?" And they're like, "I never saw it like that." And because they start to stonewall you if they're not open to receiving, think about any think about any relationship that you've been in your life, a partner, a brother, sister, mother, father, like, when people give you unsolicited advice, it's just that, it's unsolicited. It's like, block, delete, why? Why are you coming at me like that, you know?
Yeah. And especially it depends on, if somebody's giving you, let's say, relationship advice and they don't have the greatest relationship, and you're going, "Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome."
It's like a business advice from a person who's like, "Uh."
Yeah.
For sure, or a person who doesn't have integrity, who you would align with, right? So again, I think the theme of this is find people you're aligned with, like-minded, but aren't gonna just blow smoke either, that are uplifting, they're encouraging in those ways that they need to be, that are constructive, and listen more than you speak is what I hear you say.
Right. That's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. That's right. Yeah.
Yep. So what is it that I know that you lecture, you're a rare bird, so I know what you lecture on because you're
It's a mystery.
it's a and then, like, his name of his lectures are "It's a Mystery."
Yeah.
If it would book, it'd be a mystery, but the simplification of doing, what you're doing and your practice, and then tell the audience what else you're lecturing on.
Well, as I alluded to a little bit earlier, the world's changing. So, I spent considerable amount of time, considerable amount of travel, considerable amount of energy learning how to do, especially anterior composite artistry. And I still love it. It's very, very labor intensive. And one of the things, um, we talked about kind of how I got into dentistry. So how I got into 3D dentistry now is a couple years ago, I was in a really bad accident, got squished by a couple trucks and had a hard time just like walking for a while. And I realized, okay, I'm done this almost 40 years. My body's giving me a sign here. It's time to find a simpler, more efficient way to do what I love, but I can't spend 2 whole days sitting chairside doing like 10 direct layered composite veneers. Just can't. My body says, no more. It's just not happening anymore. So I started looking at 3D, taking some 3D classes, went out to the Mod Institute, took some classes there, and I realized that they're a more efficient, um, less labor intensive way to do composites. So is 3D as beautiful as hand layered? No, but it's heading that direction. So if I even look at like 3 years ago when I started doing that, the cases I did and the cases I'm doing another big one on Monday, the difference is huge in just those 3 years. So I can only imagine like next year and the year after
Yeah.
what things would be like. So that's, I have that simplification lecture. So that's posterior composites, how to make them simpler, anterior, how to make them simpler. So I used to do, I share some cases at the beginning of the lecture where I use 6, 7, 8 different layers of composite to do all this crazy stuff. And now it's pretty much 2.
Mm.
They look pretty good. They look pretty good. And then at the end of the lecture, I show 3D cases and where I think the profession is probably going in that regard. And then I have a separate 3D lecture too. So that's, we all have to find things that keep us engaged, that keep us energized. And I love talking about composites, but talking about the same thing for like 20 years. Now we have something new
Yep.
and something younger docs are more interested in. There aren't too many guys my age doing much 3D. They're like half my dental class is retired and done. So this engages the younger people because they're into 3D, and then some of my compadres who are my age too.
Yeah, but I think, it's thinking through where I am in my career, learning about new technology and new procedures, new materials, the technology in the materials like you're talking about, and the way that it changes the way that I see the work that I do, and it reinvigorates me in a
Sure.
way that nothing else could. And I think I'm sensing that in what you're saying too, and that's probably one of the reasons why you continue to push through some of the difficulty walking. You found a better way to do it. You found a more efficient way to do it, to pull the levers on being able to say, "This is the quality that I want, and maybe I could change that."
Yeah. And so now a case that used to take me, 16 to 18 hours takes me like 3. And there are
Whoa.
guys online that are, much better at it, have been doing it a lot longer than me that do it in 2 or 1.5. So, maybe someday, but I doubt it because speed has never been like one of my gifts. It never has. It's never been a goal. Speed has never been a goal of mine.
Yeah.
It's the end result. So I feel like, my patients are very happy with the 3D cases. And so if I can do it in 3 hours, that makes them even happier rather than being sedated in my chair for 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all of it. I mean, you get to help someone else in that time, and you have another person who you can help because you freed up your chair. You can and not that it's about money, not that it's about time, but it's about the central goal of helping people. You can help more people if you finish up
Right.
faster and more efficiently.
And I feel really good about these cases, and I feel good like we're accomplishing something that I know that like nobody else in my area is doing especially 3D composite veneers. Nobody around here is. There's maybe a couple people in Chicago, and Chicago's it's millions of people. So it's just not that common. It's not. So people and you know how it is with social media and everything. 4 years ago, I didn't even know what Instagram was. I mean, come on, I'm an older dude. But Instagram's all full of veneers, 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 veneers. And so we can help people with some of that, because now they have two choices. They have porcelain or composite, and they have two choices in terms of efficiency. Porcelain's going to be much longer, composite's going to be much shorter. It used to be they were the same, but not anymore.
It's true.
Yeah.
So you offer both. I mean, it's, I think there's power in giving patients the options and choosing what's
Yes.
best for them too, because one probably, I'm guessing, has a price point difference as well.
Well, yeah. So it used to be, you know, it's really interesting when I do a lot of like class 4 younger people. So
Mhm.
one of my older lectures was, young adult composites and class 4s and things like that. Kids fall down, stuff breaks,
Mm.
teeth included. And when parents would bring somebody in, my staff would put cases up of that I have in my lectures of here's some cases Dr. Morgan's done. Here's the before, here's the after, before, the after. And when I would ask the parents, since they're the one who's traumatized more than even the child,
Yeah.
then I'd say, yeah, but how long did the other office spend on this case if they'd had it done before? They're like, like 30, 40 minutes. It's okay. This is going to take about 3 hours for me to do like one tooth. And so obviously, what I was trying to communicate ahead of time is there's going to be a big fee difference between your 40-minute visit and my 3-hour visit. Um, so when we would do composite veneers, I had the same fee for both because I was the technician and the doctor, like we talked about earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And it actually took me longer than a porcelain case. So really should charge more, but I kept them about the same. Now that we're much more efficient, the the composite veneer case is roughly half fee-wise of what the porcelain veneer case is. So now patients have 2 things to look at. They look at,
Right.
you know, porcelain lasts much longer. I tell them, it's gonna be about this many years, and composite's gonna be about this many years. But the fee difference for some people, that's their driving motivator. So now they always had 2 choices, but now they really have 2 choices.
And then some of them make the decision on, "Okay, when's the longest amount of time this may last? Because I don't wanna sit in this chair again
Exactly.
or twice for 15 years," or whatever it is.
And then it's upgradable. So since 3D is additive, and then porcelain, as much as no prep porcelain is super popular now, most patients who come in and ask for that, I'd say 80% of them, they're not candidates for it. They've just read about it on social media. So that's what they want. Great. But with composite, almost all those cases can be no prep or minimal. I got to round a sharp corner or do something like that. So we have a couple other things. Patients come in, they're like, I don't want you to prep my teeth and I want this and want this. Okay. Then we talk about what their options are. And with composite, it's upgradable. So then if they decide 10 years from now they want porcelain, I have to take off the composite, but I know once I get to enamel, their tooth's gonna be just like it was before. Or
Yeah.
once I prep for porcelain, you're all done. So one of the biggest things I learned from DDA was when we would do like full mouth cases, we would do it all in composite, open vertical, establish aesthetics, do all that.
Hmm,
Once the patient said, I love it, then they go home like that. And then if they want porcelain, you've already done your buildups. You've already added your composite. You've already done all that. And you can always prep teeth later. But once you prep them, they're prepped. That's all. There's no going back.
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. This is why people come see you.
Yeah, I think so. It's never,
And come listen to you speak as well. I mean, this is awesome, Michael. I mean, if you guys have a chance to catch him on stage, he's speaking in a few places coming up. If you want to reach out to Dr. Morgan, his contact information is below. And Dr. Morgan, any final words for the audience? Any advice?
no, I think, keep on learning. Keep on learning.
Mhm.
Once you decide to, stop learning, stop being better today than you were yesterday, like, life gets really boring, gets really boring.
It does.
There's so many great things in dentistry, just pick what you love and then go down that road. That's what I did. I'm not trying to be all things to all people. I'm trying to be just a few things pretty darn good at 'em.
Yeah. And then I think too, and this may be true for you, but once you learn so much about them and other people become excited, you become the teacher.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the reasons why you're lecturing, and because people are like, "Wait a minute, I didn't know you could do that," and then all of a sudden, you get to teach it. So, follow your curiosity, stay open to learning. I feel like I say that almost every day of my life, but you're echoing that, Michael.
Yes. Yep, yep.
Well, thank you for being on today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you
Yeah.
for
You guys, you know that I always ask a favor. Thank you for being here. If you'll go on to Apple Podcasts and give the Dental Handoff a 5-star rating, because 5 is and Apple is the one that matters. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and press that like button so the algorithm recommends it to other people. And go ahead and subscribe right now while you're here. So anytime an episode posts every Tuesday at 2, you're notified. Thank you for everything that you do to touch the lives that you do, and we will see you next time. Thanks, Dr. Morgan.
Thanks, Kelly.